So at this point, you may be asking yourself, who is this person, Denise Gardens, that claims that she can help me create more harmony with my parent-child relationship? And I'm here to say to you that that is a really good question to ask yourself, because if I were in your shoes, I'd probably be asking myself the same question. And how I can answer that is that, first of all, I've been a parent for almost 37 years now. I can't believe it. Where did the time go? 37 years, just saying that sounds like so much time. But in essence, it went by really, really quickly. But for more than 3 decades, I had a lot of conflicts with my son. My expectations of what his life should be or should have been were not met for the most part. And it created a lot of conflict and, of course, self-punishment on my side, and saying that I had failed, thinking and believing that I had failed as a parent. And all that time, what I did was that I really tried to fix my son's life and totally ignored my life for the most part. And so, having said that, I really thought I was doing the right thing. I loved my son unconditionally, or so I thought. I don't think, when I take a step back, that it was total unconditional love, but it definitely loved him, and still do, obviously. You know, I provided him with a roof over his head, fed him, made sure everything was fine, from that all his physical needs were met, paid the best schools of which he dropped out of, paid for the sports and attended every single practice and game, whether it was baseball, judo competitions, swim competitions, basketball. Mom was there rooting for him, and provided him with the best guidance I could possibly provide him in order to make sure that he stayed on the right path to have a successful life. And having done all of that, unfortunately, to my dismay, I didn't get the results that I thought I would. You know, I thought I was really doing the right thing from what I was taught, from what I observed by other parents, my parents, and yet the outcome was not at all what I had expected. And so if my son was not happy, then I didn't allow myself to be happy. And when he was happy, then I was happy. So it was a roller coaster of emotions. But then it came to a point where it really became extremely difficult. The relationship, as it evolved, you know, we survived the teenage years, and then as he became an adult, the problems just started getting bigger and bigger, because the root cause of the problems was never resolved, and the bubble just kept on getting bigger and bigger. And to a point where I just couldn't take it anymore. And so I loved my son so much that I said, there has to be something I'm doing wrong, or that I can do to help this relationship heal. And that's where I went to a lot of seminars and read a lot of self-help books and went to workshops. And, you know, I learned a lot through all of that. But I have to be quite honest with you, it didn't heal the relationship with my son. I mean, it did help me on a personal level, on a professional level, but the problems kept reoccurring with my son. And so that's when I broke down and asked for help. Now, the type of help I asked for is not the one where you lay down on a couch and say and share your problems with your therapist, which is nothing wrong with that either, but that's not the kind of help I asked for. I literally asked God and the angels to help me remove this suffering and this pain that I was feeling with my son, and to, you know, help me heal this relationship and bring much more harmony and joy to it. And I've got to tell you that the starting point of being able to heal your relationship was given to you in the first part of this seminar. And that is You have to calm your mind, you have to open your heart, and you have to breathe. Now, I know that sounds really simplistic, but I have to tell you from my experience, the only way you can start to get that relationship back on track is if you calm your mind, remove it of all thoughts, and allow yourself the gift to feel that love within you. It exists there. It's there. I can guarantee you it's there. And once you open up that channel, the feeling of guidance, that wisdom, that feeling of wisdom will impregnate every cell in your being, and you'll be able to shift your level of awareness. And this is where you're going to start healing yourself and becoming much more aware of what is driving your behavior when it comes to your children. But the most important thing you'll uncover is that it's like the curtains will open up to this illusion that you were living with your son or daughter, and what you'll see is the jewel behind those curtains, and that jewel is that gift that this relationship is bringing you, and that gift is a true sacred contract between you and your child. So to come back to the original question, am I qualified to help you in building a better relationship with your son or daughter? All I can tell you is that a few years back, when I went through my process, I went through what I would call a spiritual awakening, where my level of consciousness absolutely shifted, and that happened because I calmed my mind and I opened my heart. And I did a lot of breathing. And it's this information and it's this message and this story that I have to share with you. And it's like a calling in me to help you recognize how easy it is and simplistic it is to change your relationship with your son or daughter. Now, again, it's your relationship with yourself that will shift, and that will have a rippling effect with your child. I guarantee you. So even though I want to manage your expectations, even though you will start connecting with your inner guidance, the first times that you do that, you'll be scratching the surface of the wealth of infinite guidance that exists within you. Even I am still touching the surface. It's an infinite well of inner wisdom that exists within us. And as we open up one door of wisdom, if I can call it that, we shift our perception, we increase our level of awareness, and it allows us to accept more deeper truths. And so when we when we integrate those deeper truths, we are now able to unlock the second door. And that then again, you'll receive a flow of energy that will increase your vibration and allow you to access more deeper truths about you as your soul. So I think you get the picture. So that's why it's an ongoing infinite process to go deeper and deeper within. And as we do, we find the answers to our questions that help us in our relationships, and especially in our parent-child relationships. So the other thing I would like also for you to understand is that once you start connecting in that way, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll always be in a vibration to connect with your inner wisdom when you're angry with your son or daughters. And you don't kid yourself, you will revert back to old patterns. But the difference this time is that when you do revert to those old patterns, what you'll discover about yourself is that you'll recognize that that's not the way to go. You'll start becoming an observer of your life, and you won't stay in that vibration of I'm right and they're wrong. He's right, I'm right and he's wrong, and you keep playing it back in your mind, the situation that just occurred and how you're so right and how your son or daughter is so wrong. You'll stop doing that to yourself, because it's a vicious cycle that has no end to it. And in order to get off of that wheel, you'll start to feel better if you connect with your inner wisdom, and then you'll get the feeling of relief, and you'll release those feelings of being a victim to a situation, and the feeling of righteousness, and you'll start seeing the gift that your child or daughter is showing you about yourself. And that ultimately is the best feeling in the world, because then you understand why you're here. So having said all of this, my story as to what transpired between my son and I is very detailed in my book, Parent SOULutions, as I mentioned before. However, the title of the book originally was supposed to be called A Parent-to-Parent Talk. And I changed it to A Parent SOULution because the essence of the book is really to connect with your soul, with your inner guidance. However, it's still a parent-to-parent talk. But I couldn't put both titles in, so I decided to go with Reflections, A Parent SOULution instead. But I want you to feel comfortable and I want this to be a parent-to-parent talk. But you might be asking yourself the question, then can't really be having a conversation since she's doing all the talking. Well, that's not quite correct. Because in the program that I'm using to create this presentation, to do this presentation, I should say, allows us to communicate. And the way that is going to happen is that if you're not in the expanded view of the presentation right now, you'll see there's a box on the left-hand bottom corner that says questions and comments. So anytime during the presentation, if you have any questions, or if you have, stories you'd like to share, or you have some feedback you'd like to offer me, then please feel free to send that to me, because I will definitely read it and respond. And I will definitely value your feedback, because anything that can make this seminar better, I am absolutely open to that and receptive to adopting new ways to communicate this message. We're all in this together. We're all one. So I'm not pretending that this is the only and the best way to communicate or channel this message, this really important message to parents. So I welcome your comments. I definitely welcome your feedback and your questions. So that will keep the communication going. We'll have a two-way communication. Also, throughout the seminar, I've also created some questions, like survey questions, so that I can understand who you are. And these questions are totally anonymous. They're just going to go into a database so that I can understand who actually I'm connecting with at this level. And it'll help me feel that I'm not alone here in my home office, that I am connected with you. And I really want to have that feeling throughout our time together. So I hope you don't mind to answer answer the questions that I'll be showing you throughout the seminar. I'm totally grateful that again that our paths are crossing, and totally excited to continue our journey together. So we'll start with the first series of questions, which will appear in the next slide, and then we're going to get back to our journey together. Okay, thank you.